There are only a handful of people that have truly frightened me when I've been either facing them or I've been frightened for the people that they're bowling to, and Heath is one of them.
It's a real disappointment that someone who had that sort of natural ability didn't play a hell of a lot more for his country.
I felt there was this part of my life I needed to express now. I was sick of hiding it. My name is Heath Te Aotearoa Davis, former black cap. I'm born in Lower Hutt, New Zealand. Grew up in Taita, the state house, in quite a rough area. Then we moved over to Wainui, over the hill. I was a little bit feral, perhaps, but had a good work ethic. I think my father instilled that. He was hard-nosed, disciplinarian, work. I'd be out there picking up dog shit in the rain and trying to mow lawns. And I got brought up, you know, by my grandmother, and she spoiled me a bit. I was the first and oldest, and he hated it. You're making him soft, so he went the other way.
That Heath's got a useless runner.
Fast, useless runner.
There you go, right at the end. It's useless. And that blooming runner was good. Geez, he'd be good, all right.
There was always a lot of noise and a lot of chatter about this sort of wild young fast bowler from out the Hutt Valley. You know, his name's Heath Davis.
Every kid playing underage cricket in Wellington and New Zealand was frightened of Heath. There was a story that went with it that I can remember vividly. It was an under-16 tournament in North Shore, and Heath impaled an opening batsman onto his own stumps.
There's some truth to that. I dropped one short, it hit him in the eye and then fell back. That was right. Terrible. After that, I was on the Wellington, I wouldn't say books, but in there with that unit, that squad.
Shell Trophy Cricket, the breeding ground for our international players. If you want to play for New Zealand, you have to perform here first.
Yeah, I really want to do it. I've wanted to do it ever since I've been at school.
It is to play for New Zealand. As probably the fastest bowler in the country, he can give any batsman the hurry up. But he's also inconsistent.
He bowled no balls. Man, did he bowl no balls. And it was infuriating. He simply could not keep his foot behind the front line. But when we saw him with ball in hand and him running in and having the ability to bowl, you know, with such raw pace, you don't see that every day of the week in cricket. It's an exceptional gift.
They liked that I sort of was raw and had pace, and there weren't that many around then. I owe a lot to Wellington for that, for just bearing with me.
He had the nickname Raven, which was short for Stark Raven Mad. I can remember, you know, playing in one match against him and I'm batting and he stood at the top of his mark just before he bowled and he lifts his arms up and he just starts going, wah! And the game has to stop. I can't face, I drop my bat, I'm laughing, everyone's laughing. And he would do stuff like that, often.
They don't get much more enthusiastic than Heath Davis.
Heath has world-class pace.
Ginger-haired Heath Davis.
Oh, good knock to the noggin there.
That's a bit frustrating for Heath Davis.
Heath Davis? Heath Davis.
Heath Davis.
Is it true you once played a first-class cricket match while high on acid?
Had taken a trip, yes. The mistake was telling people. And people that knew then, you know, came down on me. I settled down later and did okay, but while it was peaking, not advisable.
You know, we knew that we were teammates of someone who was really gifted, but he was just so different and he just did crazy stuff. He would miss the bus, he nearly missed the plane. It's pretty frustrating as a more senior player to have a guy who's as gifted as Heath was, to see that at times he was in disarray.
Some of the senior players came over and had a chat. Chris Cairns, said, look, you can't be doing this. You're going to fall out with people if you don't pick it up.
But his teammates would never say they're so frustrated they didn't want him on their team, because there was only one.
It's been quite a season for Heath Davis. In only his second full season, the 22-year-old quick bowler has taken more than 30 first-class wickets and has now been chosen for the Kiwi side to tour Sharjah and England.
I'll be giving it death. I'm happy that they've put a lot of, shown some faith in me, anyway, and can't wait to get there.
Both of us debuted at Trent Bridge to play for the Black Caps, which was really special. And I can honestly say this, I don't think the hierarchy, the selectors, had any intention of Larson or Davis playing Test match cricket on that tour. Circumstances just dictated that by the time we got to Trent Bridge, we had no other bowlers left. so we had to play.
Heath Davis, the tour's biggest selection surprise, the fastest, the most erratic of our bowlers. He's also drafted into the Test front line for the first time.
I didn't perhaps think it'd be so soon, but again, I'm just going to make the most of it.
That was the tour of opportunity. I knew I was possibly in the frame because of these injuries, but I thought I just hadn't had enough work. And so the first ball, I suppose I was nervous and sort of trotted up and didn't really complete my action. Gave it that one.
It didn't quite come out right and it slipped out of the side of his hand and it was widened.
In cricket terms, if you're watching an international class player, they may never bowl that ball. They're a grooved machine. Well, Heath was never a grooved machine. His machine was rough, and it could be brilliant, and it could be like that. It summed the man up. It was a ridiculous start to his international career, and he could be ridiculous.
He got picked to play for the Black Caps again in '97. That's when, for me, he really, really hit his straps and, proved at that point to all and sundry that he was, had the potential to be a very good international cricketer.
The New Zealand team wasn't very good at the time. Their results weren't great, they weren't getting big crowds, and then Heath turned up, bowling fast and bowling people out.
Oh, he's edged that again, and this time it's out.
Oh, struck on the pad, that's out. Goodness me. Oh, he's nicked it, and he's gone. He's got him.
Edged it and out. Davis has the breakthrough, 4 for him.
What a performance this is. 4 for 46.
Sri Lanka were at the end of a tour, and I don't think they were at their best, to be honest, but you take it. Yeah, we went out in the town, and I remember going into a few bars and sliding down a banister somewhere and getting caught by people. Yeah, just the most fun night. I just felt like I was part of the unit then. I think the first tour to England was starting to discover myself and went to a few bars and things privately just to see what life was. Well, you're on the other side of the world, no one's going to know you. So I went out in Soho to a couple of places by myself and did what I needed to do and left it there, left that part of my life there. And there was a lot of that, just keeping your personal life separate.
I realised pretty quickly rooming with him that he didn't want to be in the company most nights with guys from around the team. So he had his sort of day job with the lads and the team, and at night he would branch out. And then would be back, later that night, and the next morning you'd be back into your cricket work.
It was lonely. Going to saunas and seedy places to get sex because you didn't want to be seen. And I was repressing it. I wasn't leading a gay life. I wasn't out in Wellington.
He wasn't explicit about it. He told me and maybe told some other people, and that might have given him some, some form of release. People were also quite oblivious. They didn't have the gaydar on at all in 1990s New Zealand cricket.
So I had some systems and people in place that I could talk with about these things, but I didn't feel comfortable.
I mean, there were no other outwardly gay men playing first-class cricket, and there was 80 or 90 men, so that doesn't make a huge amount of sense on a probability scale. There's some pretty free-thinking people in the cricket circles at that time, but there were also some pretty old-school attitudes as well.
I had a game against Victoria. I bowled really well, really well, and thought I was a chance for the third test. They didn't pick me, it was in Hobart. And then I sort of knew the writing was on the wall a bit. And they sent me home on my birthday. It's November 30th. Oh, yeah, I got a bit down over that, to be honest. Dion Nash, I think, came over, and some of those other young players, and they took their opportunities, bowled well, and I never played again. And that's the way it is. I thought, this is time for a break. I need to live my life. I was a bit afraid of being out in Wellington, being able to take my partner to the game. The way I was thinking at that time, the two wouldn't have existed. I was either going to put one on hold and live one, or I felt there was this part of my life I needed to express now. I was sick of hiding it. All the stars aligned, if you know what I mean, to move. That's what I felt. Everyone in Auckland knew I was gay in the team. Didn't seem to be that big an issue. Or maybe some of the young ones were a little bit, if you're sharing a room with them or something. But yeah, it's just petty shit. It's rubbish. Things I thought might have been issues weren't really. I just felt free. I came over to Australia 2004. Cricket was no longer going to be my life. And didn't know what I wanted to do. 2009, this injury happened. That's right, and that changed my life a lot. I was on a high-reach forklift, came to corner after picking up a double stack of donuts, and the rear end of the fork slid out as I cornered. For some stupid reason, I put my foot out to brace. You're never going to push back a ton of battery and you just... By the time it impacted, it crushed it between the bollard, and they couldn't repair all the tissues, so they had to amputate. I came back to Auckland later on to visit people and said, oh, look, I just had to get rid of it. I couldn't stand stepping over the line anymore.
That's the test of the man, that he can have an injury that's really is quite severe and come up with no more no balls for everyone else's pleasure.
My parents had been over there, they'd moved, and they have Christian beliefs. And this might sound really weird, and I would like you to include it briefly if you can. But I'm seeking Christ now. Yeah, I'm living single. Part of a group of other men. There's a Christian group, men's group. Yeah, that's probably enough.
I can't work out whether I think Heath's the most complicated person in the world or the most straightforward person in the world, but it's consistent that, you know, he should be grappling with these issues now. He seems to have been grappling with something all of his life. That zaniness and that off the wall and the crazy things that he has done at different times are quite in reverse to the man who can be quite conservative in his views, holds these religious beliefs. I just want Heath to realise with a pleasure that he brought those people for that short, you know, around that short period of time when they were playing with him.
I am in no doubt whatsoever that if Heath was emerging now as a guy in his late teens, early 20s, and he had the sort of support structures that are available now in professional cricket, then we would have something very, very special.
We just do the usual around here. Nothing much, just play cricket. Go to the beach sometimes. See you later.